Welcome to the Sensual Canvas, a soft landing space where creativity flows and presence becomes art. This season, I'm joined by creators, feelers, and soulful storytellers, each exploring the richness of self expression and sensual living. So take a deep breath in, settle in, and let's begin.
So I was thinking about who I wanted to bring on as my first guest for the longest time, even before I started the podcast. And I thought, what better person than the beautiful Jessica Karwat? And so here today with me is the incredible, the amazing. So happy you're here. I get emotional because you've been such a pivotal point in my life. And I think about all the people that I have who have played that role in my life. And you're different though, because we didn't know each other. We had never met in person. And so I would love for you to give everybody a little background into, like, I know what attracted you to me, like in like your posts and just your incredible energy, but why did you choose me to be in your community?
I love that question. Look at you. I hope I don't have any black. I forgot to check my teeth. I was eating black sesame seeds before, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot. Because sometimes don't have anything, right? Okay, good.
My camera is not that good.
Oh, so like, you know, like, oh my god, this is awkward. But anyways, here we are. I'm so honored to be your first guest on your podcast, and you know, you're the person I talk about the most to, you know, when I talk about my work, when I talk about people who've had an incredible transformation in my world, I talk about you. You're the person that like I always talk about. And I feel like everyone's like, yeah, we know who she is at this point. Like we know, you know. And you know, we're here now after all this time, which is crazy to me because you know, you entered my world when I was still very much a health coach, and I was very focused on helping people heal, which I still do, but in a different way. And I know that, you know, we connected on social media, of course, and you were part of my first masterclass and or workshop, and I remember you being there because your camera was off. And I remember that I saw the name, but the name that you had on Instagram was different. And so I remember I was like, I want her to come back because for some reason, like, I feel like you have the same thing, like intuitively, you just know there's something, you know? And so I know that I was like, I want her to come back. And when I did the masterclass again, I ended up re-inviting you. And this time you were able to be fully present. And then, you know, we got on the call and you were exploring the idea of joining my health coaching program. And I remember it because you had long hair and you were in your room and it was a little bit dark and it was your early morning, it was my afternoon. And you were very shy. Like there was not a lot you were giving me at that time, right? So I had a little bit of a harder time reading you, you know, in terms of like understanding, does she want this? Does she believe me? Does she feel good with this? You were very much like very information based person, as in like, give me the facts, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And there was not this like emotional connection yet that I had with you, right? But then I remember, I think maybe it was a day later or something, you messaged me like, I'm in. I talked to my partner, I'm in, I want to do this. And I remember it because I was in Ibiza at that time in Spain, and I was just getting into the car to drive to like to have dinner with my partner. And I remember seeing that your message pop up on Instagram. And I was like, yay, amazing, you know, she's in. And then we started to, of course, work together. And after a couple of months, and the first round of the program officially ended, the 4 months, you were like, I want to stay, I want to continue. You've had all these amazing health transformations, and not only physically, but really like so many other things that started to shift with you and your energy as well. And you started to like take up space in the community. You started to share, you started to be louder, to be allowing yourself to be seen by all these other women, and I started to like really see your growth throughout. Like, I have goosebumps when I think of this, because it's so beautiful, because I've been with you since this like very first call, the timid Stephanie, like being very shy, to you now taking up all this room, showing the world who you are. And I'm so grateful that you're still here, despite me transitioning, going out of health coaching, doing what I do now. And you're here because in such a beautiful way, we have both transformed, and we're still, with each other, in such a beautiful way, that like, you've had your own transformation journey, so have I, but we've stayed together during this time. And that's not very common for, this world, or in general, when two people, are together, if it's friendship, or if it's, this space, or if it's even, a loving relationship. How it is when you're on your own transformation journey. Sometimes this happens, the scissor happens, where like it no longer fits. But I always felt like we complemented each other so well, because I was able to really, with my own transformation, I was able to really see also what I wanted to help you transform. And I'm always so amazed every single time we meet. There's always something new I see in you, something new that transforms, something new that heals, something new that you're able to pick up on. And that's why, like, I know this is only the beginning. And that's why I talk about you so much. And that's why that's why I think we're here. And that's why I also said yes to this, because I know that, and I feel like also the relationship that you and I have built over these years, and this is a damn long answer, so I apologize. But like, the relationship that we build over these years is like, it is more than just a coach and client relationship. I feel like even the conversations that we have in our calls are not the regular conversations I have with other clients most of the time. Like, it is a lot of trust that I feel like I have in you, and that you have in me, to be able to go that deep and to go that intimate as well, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. It's wild, because I never feel like honestly, I feel like, oh yeah, that's the highest, that's the peak. I reach these like peaks, and I'm like, how could it get any better than this? And then here's Jessica. Hey, let's just like push you a little bit further, like past your comfort zone. And then again, I'm like, wait, what? I can expand even more than this. And when it first started to happen, it was like very physical, right? The program was based around like nutrition and veganism. And that's what attracted me to you in the first place, was really deeply like desiring that vegan community. And so when I got into that, I saw like my body transform. I saw like, I never thought of myself as like, overweight or anything like that. I've always even told myself like, I have fat, but I'm not fat, So when I saw my physical appearance, I was like, I don't really need like, a coach for that reason. So for me too, I was like, what is it necessarily that like this fitness journey that she sees that I'm not seeing? Like, let me just like give it a go. But I think intuitively I felt like you were already breaking into like the deep, like emotional, like healing stuff. And I felt that like even before like choosing like you as my coach, I was like, she's not just all nutrition. Like, you can see that based off of like the energy that you give off. It's so much more than that. And so it's beautiful to see like how you started like in that nutrition, and then how I went along the way. And then you were like stepping into this person that I already knew. Like, I was like, I already know that she's this like just energy guru. Like, I know that. And then it's like, fast forward to all these years later, it's like, duh, like, and she was almost like needed the health coach to like bring her into this bigger, more expansive work.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you say that, because I always kind of felt like, since I started that, and of course we also had the menstrual cycle, the hormonal health in there, right? So like that was one of the reasons you also wanted to join, went off the pill, all things like that. So there were so many factors that went into that, but also because I saw how it was for me focusing on the physical without the emotional and the energetic, there was a missing piece. And I saw it within myself, because I was the one first going on this health journey, burning out, doing all the masculine, realizing it wasn't the way to go. And very early on, I remember when my program was called the Plentiful Power Program, the very first name, I don't know if I even shared this, was called the Fruity Booty Program. It never made it, of course. Kevin's like, freaking talk about that.
I need that program. I need that program right now.
The Fruity Booty Program. Like, oh my God. I remember I was like thinking of a name that was like the very beginning stages. And oh my God.
Creativity at its finest.
No, I'm very proud of that. Obviously, that's why I never called it what it was. But I remember even in the Plentiful Power Program, which the name is much better than that. I remember we had these weekly group calls, and the conversations would go beyond just already nutrition. Like, people would start to ask me questions that were already going in a different direction. And I already felt like at that time, there's something that I don't see yet, or something that I feel like I need to go deeper into. And then I started, of course, going deeper into my own traumas and all of these things. And I'm like, oh, now it all makes sense. And I especially remember this because, I myself had hormonal health problems like crazy. And doing only the physical stuff was not enough to heal that. I had an emotional eating disorder, right? So like that was one of the other things, that just eating healthy was not enough to heal that. And I remember having clients with these same issues, the hormonal health stuff, the emotional eating, really struggling with a lot of weight, and no matter what plan they were on, it wasn't working. And so I was able to like really realize it is so much deeper than that. And eventually, and that was what happened last year in the beginning of the year, I realized that there were so many other vegan health coaches, and I could no longer justify calling myself that because of the deeper work that I was doing. And so it all kind of transitioned into what it is now, but there wasn't even a question, so I'll stop talking right now.
I'm just always so mesmerized by like your energy and like how you just show up. And I think it's so fascinating because we've been on calls sometimes and I'm like, wait, like that was incredible. You're like, what did I say? Like, you just like forget, you're just like downloading all this like incredible universal like gold.
I'm so glad I have a note taker, because I seriously don't know. Like, that's the thing, and I share this with you guys a lot as well, is like, we need that space to sit with ourselves, because sometimes, and I know you have this too, when you sit and you have that space, you get these downloads where you were like, I didn't even know that existed within me. I didn't even know I had access to this. And I think we have access to so much more wisdom and knowledge that we are aware of, but we can't hear it, we can't listen to it, because we're so closed up, because we're consuming so much instead of being and creating. And I do think the more we shift as human beings into being and creating, the more we realize we have all of us, like, I'm not special, we all have these gifts within us of downloading all of a sudden these things that we were like, we didn't even know that they were there before. So I do think there is so much opportunity in creating that space to just be and listen to what wants to come through. But that, going on another tangent like that can also be very uncomfortable if you never learned how to be with yourself. And all of a sudden these uncomfortable emotions come up that is a little bit harder to navigate,
Definitely. Absolutely. And I think that like it's very apparent that we're born creative. We see it like in young children how they just naturally excel in creativity. And yet over the course of their adolescence and then their teenage years, it just dwindles. And then as adults, we use a fraction of it. So it's incredible to see like my own creative journey, but I am curious about your creative journey and what made you feel comfortable like in your own creativity.
Mm, I love that. So I was always a very creative child, and I'm so grateful because my parents really supported me in that. Early on, I would, start dancing. I would take dance classes. I would then write my own poems when I was 10, 11 years old. I would, start playing the guitar, writing my own songs, recording them. Don't look them up. I think there still exists somewhere. So there's some I recorded so many things. And of course, initially I wanted to be a singer. That was my biggest dream as a child of like, I wanted to be Shakira and like stand on stages and, and be famous for that. But eventually, of course, what ended up happening is I think what happens to a lot of people, society happens, right? Where you got to go to school and you got to study. And like my parents would always say to me, as much as they supported me in my musical hobbies, I want to say, there came a point where, I wanted to actually study like music. I wanted to become a musical, how do you call it? Art, like actor, musical actor. Do you call it like that? Like the person that plays in a musical.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was at a point I was like, after finishing school, I was really considering doing that. And it's a training of like 3-4 years, dance, singing, all that kind of stuff, acting. And my parents were like, well, I think it's better if you focus on school. And they didn't quite believe that, that was going to be a career, an actual career. And so I ended up, not even knowing what I wanted to study. I ended up choosing marketing, business management and marketing, because in my mind, I was like, oh, marketing is, I was always very creative. Like in my mind, marketing was like, I feel like that's one of the most creative things I can study, because it will allow me to like, do marketing campaigns, things like that, where I saw it will allow me to be very creative. And I was always very creative. Like even as a child, because my parents didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. And it doesn't mean that I didn't have like dolls and stuff, but there was limited resources. So I would build my own doll houses, and I would like have magazines, and I would cut out, a bed or like a TV, and I would like create my own cardboard like doll houses, and it was so sweet. Like it was really like I would create my own little like jackets for my little, toys that I had. So like I had to be creative, and I feel like when children actually don't have access to everything, they become creative, and so do human beings. When you don't get everything in a split second, you have to become creative. And so I know that was always in me. I ended up studying marketing, realizing, well, okay, that's what marketing is. Got my first job in marketing as a marketing specialist, I think that's what it was called, in an ad tech firm in Barcelona. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I was sitting every day writing emails, and the emails were all the same every day. So marketing emails, right? They were all the same. And the only thing that I really loved about the job was organizing events, because again, it allowed me to be creative. I had to think outside of the box. I was like, okay, what can we like creatively do? And so that is one of the parts that I loved. And I remember I got very discouraged because I actually had the idea of a podcast for the company. And I was like, oh my God, I had this idea in my podcast, and I would share it with my manager at that time. And that idea was stolen from me, and it was applied by someone who was higher up in the company, and they ended up applying everything, which made me very sour in a way, and made me go like, I only worked in a company for a year, because I realized the more I worked in this company, the less creative I became. The less I was like, I feel like I'm losing all of my creative juices that I had because it's all the same. It's all freaking building blocks of the same stuff over and over again. Ended up leaving this, quitting my job. And during this time, I stopped playing music and all of that because my job was taking so much of my energy that like, I remember I was playing it and I was like, I would write songs about guys that I dated, whatever, like things like that. But it wasn't as consistent anymore as it used to be, and eventually like what I ended up really seeing is that, and I saw this with a lot of people, at that time, my age, people who were not happy with what they were doing, is they kind of lost this, like, why would you do it anyways? Why would you be creative if it doesn't really lead to anything? And that's how I felt. I was like, well, if this is a corporate job, it was sold to me as a creative opportunity, but I keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it wasn't even that much work, but I still burned out because I was so dried up from doing the same thing over and over again. And it was so not fun. And I burned out because it was understimulating. And that can also happen. I was just very unhappy. And so I took, I think I want to say it was like after I quit the job, it was around 6 months where I was studying being a nutrition. And that's when I went into coaching and stuff. And initially I realized that building your own business is a creative process. You have to be creative. And I started having so much fun with recording videos and like editing and like putting things together like this. And that's, I feel like, how my creative juices started to come back, realizing that I want to have my own control in my work. And I want to have the creative freedom to decide what I want to do and how I want to do it and what I want to organize. And, and I do think at this point, like, I allow myself to be as creative as possible within my work while it's still being a program that creates transformation, right? You still need to find a balance, and kind of what we talk about as well. Like, you're an artist, but you're also a business owner. You have to find a balance between, there is the creative part in me, but I also need to make a living out of this. Right. And so sometimes I find myself still blocked in that creative flow because I do think I tend to, and I think it's human. We see so much, right? And like, I would see another coach do this and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do it like them, or, and so I sometimes I get lost in that myself too, where I'm like, I want to be creative, but then I see someone else do it that way. And then I kind of already lose my creativity because that thing now has space in my brain. And because it has space in my brain, there's no space for new creative stuff to come through because that's taking up all my space in my brain. It kind of feels like,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I was talking about like creating that space to just be and listen to yourself is so important, because every time I create the best things in my business that like are really, really good in my opinion. And every time I don't, I create, but it's not as powerful as I know it could be, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
learning process for me, to be honest,
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I saw like a little bit of that blockage when we were at the retreat you hosted last year. And I remember having everybody like engaged in this, like, very intuitive, very free flowing, like painting. And you were kind of like struggling a little bit. And I saw that and I was like, okay, this isn't like the flowing, like Jessica that I know. Like, there is, your hat for like, I need to be, recording everybody. I need to capture things for the moment and the retreat. And also like, taking that hat off to be the retreat leader is somewhat challenging when you're in a setting like that. Like, actually letting that go and releasing, like, it can be troublesome sometimes. So I definitely felt like in that workshop
I was like, wait a minute, like she's capable of like free flowing. She's just like, I think she's very intent on getting everybody to engage and, you know, still be on our like retreat schedule. So
Totally. I
yeah.
think the thing is like I actually talked about this with Amanda too. You know, you remember Amanda. We talked about this quite a lot too, because her and we both agree on that point as well, that when you are leading something, there's only so deep you can go yourself, because I am ultimately here to still hold that space with you. Right. And so like their coaches, like my coach, friend coach, she does exercises with her clients and she does them like together. So like she would be in a call and she's like, here are your journal prompts. I'm going to do this with you. I did it yesterday because I wanted to go deeper from what I wrote, but I already knew the answers. I don't do it with you guys because this is not about me in that moment. It's about holding that space. I do agree. You were the leader in that moment. I could have easily taken that hat off, but I didn't allow myself to, because I've still had this like, I need to be able to hold it together, because afterwards it's still me coming back to this work, if that makes sense, you know? So there is a fine line of like, how much can you let your guard down in this moment without you not being able to recalibrate back to that level? And so imagine me journaling on something with you and it hits a point and I'm like, oh my God. And it like completely like, I won't be able to hold space for you afterwards anymore if something is coming up for you. Right. So I do think there is this like balance, finding it of like, how far can you go? How safe do you feel letting that guard down, while also knowing you can bring yourself back to putting that CEO hat on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt like a shift in energy yesterday when we were on our call and we were doing our prompts and you were like, I'm going to do this with you. And I thought, she is? Like she normally doesn't. And so I definitely think that's a superpower of yours. So if you incorporate that more, like I am interested in that type of energy,
Yeah.
because I think before meeting you in person, and we had already been working with each other like what, over like a year.
Yeah.
And we had never met in person. And so like to finally like meet you, it was just so exciting. But then I was talking to another one of the women there, and you made a comment about spiders and how like you were deathly afraid of them. And we were both like, oh, it's so nice to see that she's like
A human.
a human being, that she has flaws and all these things. And so to see those things come up in you humanized you to me, and it only reassured me of like the work that we were doing, you know. And it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily that I was putting you on a pedestal, it was the fact that I had never seen those sides of you.
Yeah.
I had never seen the Jess that was blocked in art, or that was afraid of spiders, or you know, those types of things. And so I think it's a beautiful experience to do this work, but then also to see the human side. And those are oftentimes the very vulnerable sides of ourselves. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice to see that.
That's why I really love I really love the in-person space, because of course, like also with you guys, like we spent almost 3 full days together, and it's, you know, on a screen you can be like, let me turn it off, let me do something else and come back. It's very different. Like you know, even like seeing your face, giving you a hug, feeling you, like there's always going to be a different layer to that. And I feel like a lot was unlocked in these 3 days for all of you, to a point where you can't even recreate that through a screen. You can go deep, but I feel like, you know, and of course thinking about doing something in person again, because I realized how incredibly important that is, you know, that is too. And I do, it's, you know, it's so interesting, because as you were talking, I was thinking of like my coaches and that human side. to them. And I have to say, all that I was given in terms of like mentors and guides, and what I've learned is to have that little like invisible wall of there's only so much you can share and only so much you can give and only so much you can bring to the table, or like allow people to see off of you. Because even like with one of the coaches, and I worked with her for a year, it's been very like, I don't know a lot about her still. She's great, amazing at what she does, but there is not this like personal level of like, she still feels very untouchable, if that makes sense. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. She chose that image and it's fine. And she even says it like that's her way of the image that she wants to portray. But I feel like when you're able, and that's why I feel like when we're in these coaching calls, I really try to share personal stories with you that I don't usually share with like the people that are not my clients, right? So like you will probably notice that the stories that I share with you guys are different from what I share on YouTube or what I share on free masterclasses, just because I do think it helps for you to also see the things that like I went through and the pain that I feel and the pain that I still feel sometimes to this day, because I'm a human being, you know? So yeah, I try to bring that in, but I definitely will bring more spider stories in, because there was one.
Oh,
It was
girl,
horrible.
no.
Yes.
I almost got into bed with a massive spider the other day. So,
Girl, I was on the toilet in the gym, and I'm just hearing my cleaning lady scream at me something in Spanish, and I didn't think she was talking to me, because why would she scream at me? This type of spider.
no.
Well, yes. Yes. Right on, like next to my foot as I'm peeing. I'm like, and you know me, you've met the person who's scared of spiders. This was I didn't even know these things existed here, and I hate it now that I know that they exist here, because before I didn't know, and I wasn't scared. Now I'm scared of them, because now I know they exist, and they exist where I live, because my gym is right next to my, oh my God. It was horrible. It was horrible. I was like,
struggle is real, I swear. Like, no.
You don't believe me? Oh my, look it up. Look up Costa del Sol spiders. They're
No,
like, they're
thank you. No.
this thing.
Okay, well,
I didn't finish my pee. I had to jump out, run out the door, and I did not finish my pee, and it was horrible.
oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it was bad.
Honestly, like I can't. With a certain size of spider, I'm like, okay, I got to get someone else to extract this guy or just take it away. Yeah, certain sizes. But I'm pretty good for the most part with like certain little spiders.
Yeah.
But damn, that one the other night, that one, like, it talked to me.
Like, hi, Stephanie, I was waiting.
It was traumatizing.
Like, what
well,
did you?
I'm lucky that I have a partner that can like.
He's not scared?
No. I'm so grateful, because
I would probably scream out running like a girl. Like, I love him, but he's, I think, would not, you know, I don't know. Be grateful.
I had a boyfriend like that. But no. Oh my gosh. Yeah, wild. So
okay.
I'm curious. You talked about intuition, and I'm curious, like, what it's like in your body, like to actually feel like intuition.
So I'm gonna take the human design lens here, because I do think human design plays an important part when it comes to understanding how intuition works in your body, and how I feel like in a way it's also decision making, intuition, energy. Like, you need to understand your human design if you really want to understand how intuition works for you specifically. Before I knew my human design, I knew my intuition was speaking to me, but I would mistake it for fear. I would mistake it for anxiety. I would mistake it for not making the decision because making up scenarios, whatever, or making the decision while feeling uneasy about it. So I do know there were situations in the past when I look back, I intuitively felt something, but I would mistake it and I would do it anyways. And then I would be like, afterwards, realizing it was a wrong decision, being like, oh yeah, because I actually felt, the opposite way. Now today, knowing I'm a projector and I'm a self-projected projector, in order for me to understand if my intuition is right, I need to say it out loud, right? That means self-projected projectors, they're only 3% of the world that are self-projected projectors. So we are very rare in that case. And so sometimes with my partner, he likes to, just how men are, give me advice. And I don't need that advice in that moment. I need him to just be a space for him to listen to me, right? So that I can say out loud and get to the conclusion myself. And it's been 6 years, I still have to teach him sometimes to be like, shh, just let me talk. I don't need you right now. Just let me talk. Just be the space, right? But by me, when I feel something, like let's say I have an idea about a masterclass or a business idea or a program or something like this, it's like a download, but then I need to say it. And when I say it, I can feel either an opening or a contraction. And this is so weird because you know how I had that one YouTube video that like was the biggest video up to date that like blew up. It was in March or April. Was it in March? Damn, that was like April, something like this. Yeah. And that video, I don't know what it was. But it's like the universe was very against me because it wouldn't upload. First of all, I wasn't able to edit it. It would delete. So I had to edit it twice or 3 times because it deleted just out of nowhere. I'm like, what is happening? And I know it was a Friday evening because I was like, I don't want to work anymore. I was tired. I was like, I just want to like freaking upload it and like close my laptop. And I kept like having to edit it and then upload it, and it didn't upload properly. It only uploaded half of it. That would have been a part of me if my intuition would have been like, you know what, just leave it, just do it tomorrow, just do it on Sunday. And I tend to, you know how I am, like I tend to tell you guys like, hey, something's not working, just take a break, go back to it later. In that moment, I was like, no, I need to upload this video right now. I didn't know what it was. But then I wake up the next morning and I see the numbers and I see the comments. I'm like, oh my God. And that was, to me, there was something that was like, that's why I don't always believe in the universe being against you when things are not working or not wanting you to succeed. That was in that moment, I believe the universe testing me to see if I trust myself in what I'm doing. And if I wouldn't have uploaded that video, Embodied Business wouldn't exist. The clients that we have right now wouldn't exist. It was all because of that one video, right? And the growth that I've had wouldn't have like none of this would have existed, but there was something in me that I felt this opening, despite me feeling the frustration of this stupid video not being edited and not uploaded. There was still something in me telling me, you need to put this up. You need to put this up. And so again, for me, it's this speaking it out loud and noticing how's my body responding to my words. Is it an opening? Is it a contraction? And I don't always need to understand why. And I feel a lot of the times we want to understand why we feel a certain way about intuition. To me, it's just feeling it and then following through on the idea or on the thing that I wanted to do or not, depending on what I'm feeling. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. I love that, like expansion, like contraction, like it's like an openness and a closing. And I think that you really have to be in tune with your own body to get intuition.
Yes.
Like it's not just something that you can just be like, oh yeah, that's my intuition. It's like you have to refine down, like probably heal a lot of things to finally like get to be that clear about what that is.
Yes.
Is there like a certain color or a certain like, I don't know, or is it just that feeling like in your body?
I don't see that many colors. I only see them when I do Reiki on other people. I tend to see colors. But when I do my own stuff, unless someone does energy healing on me, sometimes I see them about it. Sometimes I wish I had that, what is it called, where people see music And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had that. Like, you know, when they're like, you know, there's this thing, it's I don't know what it's called. It's something with A, I think. There's people who can see music, they see colors and forms, and they draw it. They listen to, you didn't know that existed? I saw it like on a
I don't
couple of
think
stories.
so.
It's I mean, it's not a disease. I think it's like people say some people have something in their brain. I'm so bad at explaining it. I don't know what it's called, so please don't call me out on that. But there are people who apparently can hear music and they see it. And then they, you know, if they're an artist, they draw it. And this is like this song, this is this song, this is this song. And like, yeah, so I
Just
don't
so
have that.
neat.
It's
I
really
love
cool. Sometimes
that.
I'm like, I wish I could do that, you know, but there's see stuff. So for me, it's not a color. For me, it's really a feeling. And I want to touch on what you said of like doing the healing work, because for me, it was a lot of peeling off the layers of understanding, is it my nervous system feeling dysregulated? Is it my anxiety? Is it, you know, maybe an old belief wanting to come through and telling me that I can't do something? Right? There's all these layers, all the things that you might tell yourself, the stories that you might tell yourself that you think are true, but you have to be willing to question the truth behind the things that you're telling yourself. Because if you don't, you might mistake intuition with your doubts, your fears, your anxiety that might seep in. You know, so I do think it's important to do that work to be able to hear that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about this a lot in the program. You know, well, in all your programs, you've mentioned this, and I am curious because I notice you keep calling your partner, but
I
he's your fiancé.
I know.
Congratulations, by the way. I'm so freaking excited for you guys. Like, how long together?
So 6.5 years until he proposed. And I was like, dude, it's time. Like, you know, I'm just saying, like, I love you, but, you know, apparently he was planning this for a year now. So, you know, the ring that I have, he told me it's actually from his mother's family. So it's, you know, he's had the stone, not crystal, the stone, I don't know what it's called in English, for a while. And so he was planning on putting this ring together pretty much for over a year now, according to him. But yeah, 6.5 years, here we are. And I think for me, why I don't call him fiance is because it feels weird. Like, I think it's, for me, it's a language barrier too. Because I don't know, like, to me, maybe it's in the English language. I think it's, when I say it in German, I do say the German word for it, but maybe it's the English thing that just feels weird for me. I don't know what it is. Just like, I like the word, I like the weird, but when I hear other people say, oh, it's my fiance, I'm like, ooh, like, I don't know. There's something in me that is like, good for you kind of energy. It's weird. There's something about the word that I'm like, I don't need to use it, you know? Like, also the thing is, this is between me and him, you know? And like, this is not because I want to get married today, or like he's going to run away, or I'm going to run away. Like, for us, it's more this like commitment to each other and this love that we have for each other. And like, we don't even know if we're going to get married. Like, this is not about the marriage per se. It's this commitment of like, hey, I'm still here, I'm going to stay here. But we talked about marriage for years now. And to us, this is not really important. Like, I do think maybe at some point we will, might happen in a year, might happen in 10, we don't know. But it's not the thing that like, why this is here, you know, if that makes sense. Like, that's the way that we live in.
Totally. And I love that you're rewriting, you know, the script. You're making it your own. And it's like, that is your life and that is your partner. It's like, why can't we, you know, play by our own rules? I think that's so like that's been very present in my own relationship too. It's like there's so much societal pressure, and from my family, like, why aren't you guys married yet? And it's like, well, 12 years, like, I think that's commitment. Like, that's loyalty and love. And it's like, no paper, no ceremony is going to make that more so. It is already, like, we are already in that relationship. So I'm curious, how do you find like sensual play in your relationship after all these years? Like, how do you keep that like energy alive and new?
Yeah. It's so funny because you're my client, and here we and now you're asking me this question. So it's like, like it's an interesting energy. I have
Please, lady, I have painted you half naked. You are
I know
fine.
that's me right in the background, and I love it. Yes. So for us, it's very interesting because I actually, when we started dating, he only had 2 partners before me. So I had more partners than he had when we started dating. So I do know in the beginning, of course, it's the honeymoon phase where, it's a lot of exploration and a lot of fun and a lot of just like doing without really thinking about it. And I have to say, like, there's definitely been ups and downs in our journey too, because, my work takes most of my brain power, if I'm honest. Like, my work is my life. And so there's been many times where, especially last year, where I've been going through a lot of ups and downs. And I was finding back to myself and really redefining who I was. I also found that part was struggling a little bit with us, because that was where I was getting my confidence from, knowing who I am, knowing what I'm here to do. My work gives me my confidence in a way too. And I found that when I was going through my own journey of, redefining who I was and rediscovering who I was and what I wanted to do, it did have some impact on our relationship too, where I didn't want that intimacy that much because I felt like it was distracting me from myself. But I do think, and that's what we do pretty good, is like we talk a lot about it, which means like we go through phases where, because he also works a lot. And so we find ourselves many times being tired or being like, tomorrow, or like whatever. Now, my mom is here, like all these different things that come up in life that are normal. And we've had a phase where we had to like sit down and, and be honest with ourselves and be like, well, to me, this is really important, this part. And I want to make sure that we actually allocate time. It doesn't always have to be the act of it, but it can just be us talking about it and having ideas and having fantasies and going into what it is that, he desires and what it is that I desire. And so we do take out the time. And actually, fun fact, last year, because of this a little bit of a phase where I was distancing myself a little bit because I wanted to spend more time with me, we went ahead and we bought like this. It was like an advent calendar, with like every day something new, intimately that we could do. So that was interesting to, rediscover and like just kind of try different things. But I do think for us, it's really, we both need to be committed to that. For me, what's also really important is I need to feel like it's, how can I say, because we're with each other all the time. What can easily get lost is because you're with each other all the time, oh, we don't need to dress up, and we don't need to like, I don't need to like put on high heels or whatever, because we're all with each other. And I noticed like this part is so important for me, especially as a woman, but also for him. When I see him in a shirt, like I look at him differently, of course, right? So like even that act of like, even if we just go out for a drink, but we dress up and like, he looks at me in a different way and I look at him in a different way, alone that already, of course, sparks that again. Whereas if we're constantly with each other, because I see him literally, I could, say hi right now if I wanted to, it can get lost, that like excitement and this like spark. So you have to actively work on that. And yeah, I mean, I wonder how much I want to share. So let me just, I think I shared some things with you personally that you know about. So that part has also really helped actually in like reigniting that spark of understanding what I like and what I don't, and what, you know, what turns me on specifically, but also what it is that turns him on and things like that. So I have to say it's been so hot in Spain though. So like even touching each other with the finger is like, oh my God, I don't want to, like, we don't even touch each other right now because we're just like, it's hot. It's just horrible. So like that's been really difficult right now because like you just move one finger and you're sweat. It's like it's bad. So, gotta find creative ways.
You gotta take a shower and get creative with it.
I know, but shower to me is too slippery and dangerous. You know, I mean, it's not that fun for me. But yeah, we've definitely, oh, what also really helped is, and that's what I've noticed as well, because our life can become too routine sometimes. And so what has helped us as well is like when we were in Hawaii, and of course the dog also didn't help because the dog gets jealous the moment we kiss each other. Like he starts to scream at us, like literally, like we have to put him outside and like lock him up, you know, so that also doesn't help that I have a dog. So there's been a lot of obstacles with that. But what has helped was being in Hawaii and, you know, being away from everything, work, you know, my dog. Being away from that has really helped with just exploring and like being spontaneous, and of course like when we're at the beach, like there's a different vibe. Like I tend to feel sexier if I'm by the beach and if I'm like just naturally me rather than pretending to be someone that I'm not. So long as answer, did that answer your question? Did you want more specific details?
Explicit like details, please. Like
personally I'll tell you, but not.
I can relate so much. I can relate so much to like the whole like heat, because I used to live like in little outskirts of LA, and I swear it used to get so hot there, like scorching, like you couldn't even go outside so long because it was just like that disgusting. And in instances like that, like you're like, don't touch me. Like even you sitting too close to me, like I can feel like the heat like off your body, and it's like, please.
Yes.
So yes, I totally get it. And
you gotta be creative.
Yes, you got to be creative. You got to take a little dip in the Mediterranean Ocean and
like, no, there's too many people.
What?
Yeah.
Is it crazy this time of year?
Yeah, a lot of tourists. So it's, I mean, yeah, when you guys were there, that was September. So that was already like after the wave. But right now,
it was so chill.
Yeah,
That
now
was beautiful.
Now, like you will not find a quiet spot here. Like you would have to, I think, drive out quite a lot to find, like we did in Hawaii, not that we did it by the beach, but like we found a beautiful like private beach in Hawaii. And I feel like you have that a lot more on an island, not so much mainland, I think.
Is there like only a specific like amount of the beach that is like accessible? Like,
oh, it's all accessible for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow. It's wild.
Yeah, you don't have like a rock or like somewhere you like it's, and I know that because when I was in Tenerife, it's also an island, so you do have like spots. Here no, it's all open. I think like when like the places that it's all open, so you don't really have
that privacy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the fall will come and the winter will come, and then you'll come to life again.
I hope so, because that heat, like, damn, it's not helping. It's really not helping. Like, I am a person that likes the warmth, but to a certain extent. Like, if I feel I move a finger and I'm like dripping, I'm just like, not in that sense, you know, in which sense I mean, but like, you know, it's not pleasant.
Yeah. I'm not for the heat. I'm surprised that I lasted that long in that area of LA, because we were there for like 5 years. And I swear to you, like mostly, like majority of the time it was hot. Like it was just freaking scorching. And so I'm the type of person that loves the rain, and like I just needed to be like a cold, overcast day. So I get it. There's a certain temperature with heat that I'm just not
Yeah.
okay with. And so,
I mean, you know, the thing is, like, if you're by the beach and you're sitting in the water most of the time, or you're like, and you can cool down all the time, it's very different. But that's why I love the summer. Like that's why I moved out of Germany, because I freaking hate it, because Germany is like that weather. It's constantly dark and cloudy and like blah, like no, it made me depressed. But if you like have a summer and you're by the beach, or you can jump into the pool, it's different. But if I work the whole day and all I do is feel the heat, it's a different type of vibe, you know. There's a mosquito around me very loudly in my ear being bzzz.
oh my gosh. Okay, I'm experiencing mosquitoes here, like at our new place for the first time, and I am freaking out. Like they're huge, and I'm not
Really?
used to huge mosquitoes. Yes, I don't know
Ours
what
are
it's
so
about
small.
that place.
Everything is big.
Everything is so beautiful and magical except for the mosquitoes. Like, what the heck?
And the spiders.
Oh no, that was just that one spider. Like, what the heck? That thing was like, I don't know. I got so scared. Um, anyways, Jess, it's been so wonderful to talk to you. And I'm so proud of you and all the growth that you've done. I know you say it to me all the time, but I have to say it to you too, because I just see like the beautiful, incredible woman that you have like transformed into as well, like along my journey. And I'm excited to continue this journey with you. And you as my coach, I'm unstoppable.
Oh, I love you as my coach. I'm unstoppable. Can we put this as like a headline all over everywhere so people know?
So like we know. Is it from Stephanie?
No,
Oh
you
God.
don't. No, you don't. You need to know it more. I'll tell you.
You know.
No, thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It really is such an honor. And I love this conversation because it's so raw and so real. And of course, a lot of the times, I mean, the calls are, you know, in a coaching setting. So this allows us to like go into layers that I feel like we haven't been able to really go into, you know, and I can't. This is about your energy, like the hour that we have. It doesn't matter if it's a coaching call or this. It passed by like this. What the hell?
I
Right?
know.
Just me. I'm like, how I didn't even when you're ending the call, I'm like, what? Started. What did we talk about? I forgot it.
Literally, like the reason why I love to spend time with people in person is because of that reason. I'm like, I need more than just like an hour. I need like
Right?
so much more time. So,
I
because
get
the
it.
time passes so quick. So
I know.
thank you.
So much for having me. I'm so excited to listen to this back
I
once
know,
it's
right? I'm so
yes.
excited to see all the incredible comments and energy that comes from this and that is attracted to you and to me. And,
And the
I
guests
know,
and the other guests that are gonna come and
oh
like
my gosh.
I can't
Yes,
wait. Can't wait. That's so exciting. Yay.
I know. I'm so excited.
Well, that's the Sensual Canvas. So thank you so much for being here. And I am so grateful to my incredible coach and mentor and friend for joining me on the podcast and, sharing very intimate aspects of her life, of her business, stories about her own transformation. And so if you're interested in working with her, if you're interested in the work that she does, specializing in nervous system regulation, building your businesses up, she's your woman. She knows what she's talking about. So if you're interested, all that information is in the links. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys again soon. But until next time, stay soft, stay open, and stay creative.